What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. It has certainly been a while, but I'm back with some pretty big and exciting changes to the home sim. Stick around. So to start this off, this is not a sponsored video. I purchased everything seen here with my own money. So, back before I built the original SimPit, I had just for the heck of it Googled motion rigs. I figured they'd have been tens of thousands of dollars and most likely be for commercial use and purchase only. And I then found Mark from Get Your Game On's channel, where he had just picked up a DOF Reality H6, a 6 degree of freedom motion platform. And to my surprise, it was under 10,000 US. And at the time, I weighed the pros and cons, and ultimately I decided on building the original non-motion sim. One of the main reasons being is I had already had the real SimGear TBM panel, and I wasn't sure if the DOF Reality would handle the front-loaded weight. So, fast forward a bit, and sometime around, I don't know, about September of last year, a friend of mine sent me a video of Mark from SimHanger where he had just picked up a DOF Reality H3, and he absolutely loved it. And now at this point, I really wanted to explore motion rigs. So I started doing some research, and ultimately I ended up ordering a DOF Reality P3. Now, I've linked both Mark's channels in the descriptions below. Their channels were instrumental in helping me make my decision, and they have a wealth of information on the DOF rigs, including interviews with the company's CEO. Go check them out. So what do all these letters and numbers mean? H3, P3, H6. Why did I choose a P version? So, the H designation is meant more for home use. So from the DOF site, the H versions have slightly less speed and torque and a lower weight limit of about 330 pounds total. They were also meant to be used for 3 to 4 hour sessions of a typical home user. Now, the P or professional version is capable of 10 to 12 hour sessions and up to 440 pounds. So for me, I was looking for maximum longevity, and for not a completely large difference in price, I went with the P3. Now as for the numbers, they simply mean the degrees of freedom. An H2 would be 2 degrees, pitch and roll, H3 would be pitch, roll, and yaw, and then finally the H6 would be pitch, roll, yaw, heave, surge, and sway for the maximum experience. Really cool feature of the DOF rigs is the fact that you can upgrade. And you could start at an H2 or a P2 today and upgrade all the way to the respective 6 DOF version. Now, it's important to note, however, you have to remain in the specific model lineup. An H2 can be upgraded to an H6, but not a P6. You'd have to start with a P2 or P3 at that point. So I've had the unit for roughly 10 months or so now, and I absolutely love it. I even kept the original sim set up for a few months, but found myself always drawn back to the motion rig. Even though the original had the wraparound screens and tactile button feedback, nothing has matched actually feeling flight. Now, the one main con to the original sim setup was it was a bit of a one-trick pony. It did all the GA stuff great, but lacked a bit for airliner stuff and jets. So it would work good with something like the Longitude, but airliners, it just didn't really fit well to me outside of something like the 737. Into the P3, and now it's a bit of a jack of all trades and pretty much a master of all of them. I can fly GA, airliner, and even DCS with the modularity of swappable components. The 3D printer has again proved useful, as I was able to design and print mounts for a bunch of CoreFlight's 737 panels, and even able to swap in the WinWing FCU for Airbus flying. I even 3D printed a little mouse pad for the few things that I still need a mouse for. After using the rig for a few months, it was still missing something: the 737 overhead panel. My cousin and I put some ideas together and came up with the overhead cage made out of aluminum bars, which is super lightweight. This allowed me to mount the overhead panel in as you see here. And if I want to use DCS, it takes roughly 15 minutes to unmount all of the GA or airliner gear and swap in the F-18 kit from WinWing. And if I want even more immersion, I can go flying in VR, although there is a slight caveat to that, which I'll cover in a later video.
Wow.
It's even easier for me to get the new rig up and running. Previously, I'd have to swap display and USB cables as I was using my main PC for both regular use and the sim. However, now, I just press one button on my Stream Deck, turns on a bunch of outlets on the smart power strip, and the rig's up and running. No more messing with cables. So at this point, I've dismantled the original sim, and I don't have any regrets. Feeling turbulence and all those hard landings really cranks up the immersion factor. The unit shipped in 2 large boxes. The motor assembly was pre-built and overall took roughly 2 to 3 hours to put together. The seat was separate, which I purchased off Amazon. Overall, the seat's pretty comfortable, and I've put some longer sessions in without any real discomfort. It was pretty easy to assemble and gives you a good understanding of how it all works. I found the instructions were good, and anything I needed a bit of a visual on, they have videos on their channel covering the assembly as well. And once a month or so, I go over the rig, make sure everything remains tight. It only takes a few minutes, and occasionally a bolt is a little looser than normal. So I had purchased mine with the HOTAS mount kit, the honeycomb A and B adapter, and monitor mount. Ended up purchasing another HOTAS kit a few months later so I could swap in the stick and throttle that I use for the DCS setup. I also picked up the emergency stop button, which I highly recommend, and you'll see why in a second.
What is this now, huh? Engine 2 pump off.
500. Stall.
Oh god. Oh god!
Pull up,
We're going down! We're going down!
pull up.
5, 10. 5. Stall.
Oh god. Oh Jesus.
So yeah, might be a good idea to have that e-stop button just in case things get a little crazy. And I've mostly found the need when getting shot down in DCS as it could be a little extreme. Because of that, it really shows how well this rig is designed and built. It's stood up with zero issues over the past year, being used across the 3 main flight sims of Microsoft Flight Simulator, X-Plane, and DCS. And if anything, my body is the thing that's taken the most abuse in DCS. I'm extremely impressed with how easy it is to swap out my components, allowing me tons of flexibility, only taking minutes to swap. Feeling the aircraft accelerating down the runway, slowing on landing, and actually feeling wind shear or turbulence are absolute true game changers. It's quality built and has provided me many hours of use and enjoyment over the past 10 months. And as a bit of an aviation nerd, I keep a log of my sim flight time, and I am well over 300 hours of use in those past 10 months, just to give you an idea. And at least 50 of those are being in the F-14 and DCS. I cannot recommend the DOF Reality Rig enough. If it's within the budget, you can't go wrong. That's all for this one. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see here, don't forget to like and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to see the rig in action, you can check me out live on twitch.tv/AviatorChris. Be well and fly safe.